Hi there. In this video we're going to be creating a data store in order to record the jobs that we need to complete in order to fulfill our month-end duties. We know that we need a place in order to keep track of the jobs that we need to do. And as we're working in the Power Platform, we're going to create a jobs table in the Dataverse database. And to this end, we'll create a jobs table in the Dataverse database along with all the columns that we think are necessary in order for us to be able to record our jobs correctly. One of the properties of a Dataverse database table is that there are forms and views associated with the table. A form presents the columns of a Dataverse database table in a way that allows us to enter data, and a view allows us to present table data in a tabular form. And we can arrange the columns in a way that suits us best, in addition to filtering the data in a way that meets our needs. I'm now going to move to our Power Up environment so I can demonstrate how to build a Dataverse table. I'm in the Power Up Learning Hub, and in order to get to my environment, I'm going to select Start Experimenting. And if you haven't yet set up your environment, there will be a button available here in order for you to do so. I'm going to select Start Experimenting. The first thing that I'm going to do is check that I'm in the correct environment. I'm in the environment Rory Neary 24, and that's the correct one. The environment I don't wish to be in is the Microsoft Power Up default environment. Select my environment, close out. I'm going to move to Tables. Select the drop down to the right of New Table, and then I'm going to select Table Advanced Properties. I'm going to give the table a name, and that is Job. I'm also going to add a description for the table. I've suggested the description is activities that need to be performed to manage month end. I'm going to select the primary column, and I'm going to give it a display name of job name. And I'll also add a description, the name of the job that needs to be completed. I can now select Save, and we can now see the interface that we use in order to configure the table. I'm going to select Columns, and what you'll see is that as well as two columns, job and job name, we have a lot of other columns that have already been completed for us. I can see that both job and job name have a prefix of CR4, so I'm going to filter down so that I can see just those two columns. I'm now going to add a series of columns that are relevant to this form. New column, detail. I've added in a description. I'm going to select the drop down for the type of data we're going to use. Select text. I'm going to go for plain text, multiple lines of text, and then select Save. I'm going to add another column for when the task is due. New column. And I've completed both the display name and the description. The data type for this needs to be date and time. I'm going to select Save. I have two more columns to complete. The first one is the completion date time, the date on which the job was completed, and also whether or not the task has been completed. So add new column. I've indicated that the display name is completion date time and the description is the date and time that the job was completed. The data type also needs to be date and time. I'm going to select Save. The final column is our Is Complete column. And the display name is Complete, and description is a yes/no column indicating whether or not the task has been completed. The data type is a choice, and the choice is yes/no. The default choice is no, and I'm going to select Save. I'm happy with the structure of my table, So now what I need to do is I need to add the forms and the views. I can select on job, then select on the views, select the active jobs view, and I'm going to add in the due date, is complete, and completion date time. But I'm not at this stage going to add in the detail column. Although our table doesn't have any data in at the moment, I'm still going to sort it by the due date so that we see the older ones through to the newer ones. I can now save and publish this view. And this view, as we've configured it, is now a fundamental part of our Dataverse table. I'm going to select back, select on the job, select forms. I'm going to select the main information form. And I'm going to configure this in a way that's pleasing to me. I'm going to select the owner and drag it into the top right header area. Select due date and drag it underneath job name. I'm actually going to click on is complete, and it will just add it into the next available area. I'm going to add the completion date time. And I'm also going to introduce detail underneath the job name. As the detail column could include a lot of information, I'm going to select use all available vertical space. I'm happy with this form, and I'm now going to select save and publish. I can select back. I'm going to select the job table. One of the fundamental concepts when working with Dataverse tables is that the forms and the views are tied to the table. But although they are tied to the table, the time you're most likely to see them is when you use them in the context of a model-driven app. And that's it. That's all you need to do in order to create a data store within Dataverse in order to record details associated with your jobs. I'll see you in the next lesson.